Hey, all about fishing with Big Kev. How you guys doing? Hey, like and subscribe. Hey, I wanted to show you guys a real simple technique to fish your your brim, your crappie. How to get that bait set at a certain level. A simple way to do it. It's what I call a B&B way of fishing. That's boat or bank. So it doesn't matter if you're on the bank or in the boat. So it's a way to set your jigs or your live baits at the depth you want. And what I'm talking about is a slip bobber. So I want to show you how to make that work. It's so simple and so easy and so neat. It really is. So to do a slip bobber, you need the bobber. The slip bobber has the hole in it that allows the line to go all the way through. You need the bobber stop, and this is one style of bobber stop. It's string on a straw. That's a straw. You'll run your line through. I'm going to show you how to install that and show you why you do these. And then, I don't know if I can get this on camera, but you got to have the bead. It's a small little yellow. This is orange. It's a little bead. It's got a hole in it. So your bobber stop, when you get your bobber stop set and you got your bobber on, to keep your line from going through the bobber, you put the bead, and then the bead sits after your knot. And that bead also allows that bobber to smack the bead and not into that string to protect it. And then you need some kind of a weight, a crimp-on style weight. Make sure your weight is not too big for your bobber so you just don't automatically sink your bobber. So the first thing you need to do on your line is run your line through your straw. Now, you want to get this set close to where the depth that you want to fish. Now, this is adjustable once it's on there, but initially set it up. So we're going to set this up for about a 3-foot fish, or a 3-foot depth. So once you get your line on your straw, then take your string and slide it off the straw the straw actually becomes trash. Take your straw off your string. So now you got your string on there like so. So you want to go ahead and take the 2 loose ends of your bobber stop and pull that knot tight. Like so. Now you got your knot on your line. Okay, we'll be cutting this extra off here shortly. Next, you want to get your bead on. Get your bead on your line. I don't know if you guys can see the bead. Let me trim this off. Trim this excess string off. And then you'll be able to see it a little better. So there's my bead on my knot. Okay? So you got your bobber stop and then your bead. Then you want to stick your bobber on. Run your string through the top of the bobber and out. So now, see how that bobber, that bead stops that bobber? That bobber is going to slide and it's going to go to that depth and stop. So now we want to go about, let's get a hook. So we want to tie our hook on. This is 4-pound mono that we're playing with here on a little Fluger President reel on a small crappie pole. And then you want to go, oh, let's go about a foot above the hook, and then we'll set our weight. So there you go. So now we got our hook, our weight, our sliding bobber, our bobber stop, and our bead. Okay? So, why do we do this? So this bobber, when it's in the water, it's going to float up and it's going to stop like this. And so that hook's 3 foot. I don't know if you can see that. It's 3 foot down. And that's all the farther that bait's going to stay. So if you want to fish 10 feet, slide your knot up to 10 feet. Now your bobber will go 10 feet. Now how does this, why is this better than just a standard lockdown bobber? Well, with that small knot in that string, it allows you to reel that up through your eyes of your pole. So when you're casting, you only got about 1.5 foot of line from the tip of your pole, but yet your depth is set at whatever you set it at. So if you have 15-foot depth, you're going to be able to throw this out over a brush pile. Your bobber stop is right here. If it's at 15 feet, it might be on your spool, but it's going to go through your eyes. And then that bobber is actually the weight's going to take the string down. The bobber's going to slip up to this bead, and then that's where the line stops, and that's where your bait sits at the bottom. So if you were fishing, let's say 10 feet with a lockdown bobber, you'd have 10 foot of line out with your lockdown bobber, and you're swinging all 10 feet of that line on a cast. Now you can bring it all into your pole. You know, even if we set this way back here and it spools up on here, at least we can cast it out now, and you have a minimal length of stuff at the end here, whether it's a minnow or a jig. So that's a slip bobber. That's the idea behind it. That's how it works. And you can vary your depth, which is really nice, on how deep you want to fish, and get it out there over the brush pile with your live baits or your jigs or however. So once again, you got the bobber stop, which is that string on a straw. You got the bead. You got your slip bobber. You got your crimp on weight. And you got your hook. So that's a slip bobber. So I just went to the store real quick and picked this up. But here's a kit you can get. It has 2 bobbers. It has the 2 knots on the tubes and the 2 beads. So the only thing you're missing here is a couple split shot weights and a couple of hooks. And of course your bait. Or you could get if you use a weighted jig head, you don't need the split shot. You would just tie the jig head on because it's got a lead head jig head, and skip the split weight. Don't use it. The split weight's only for a bare hook with live bait. So that's how the slip bobber system works. So hopefully that shows you folks a little bit about how to fish, a little bit of way of setting your depth, especially if you're a shore fisherman where you got to fish over a brush pile and you want to be, you know that pile's out there, let's say it's 20 feet off the bank, but that brush pile's 10 feet down, and you want to be 6 foot over that pile or 8 foot in that pile. Set your bobber stop up to where you want to be. You can cast right over that pile, and that weight and that lure is going to sit exactly where you got it set. You can control your cast a lot better because you don't have all that line hanging out at the end of your rod. So hopefully this teaches you a new technique on how to catch your crappie, your bluegill. You'll probably get white bass, largemouth bass. About anything will work with this. But it's a way to keep your weight suspended, or your bait suspended at a certain depth, and how you can control that. And it's adjustable in the field. So thanks for watching. Hope you guys learned a little something. Like and subscribe. All about fishing with Big Kev. Tight lines, everyone. Take care.